Katie Place. Katie's a professor at Quinnipiac University. She's a former Page Center Senior Research Fellow. Her question may be tough to answer, but I'll ask it. What's the greatest ethical challenge you've ever faced? Is there one that comes to mind?
Yeah, I think, but it was actually not as much ethics, but I'll give the context a little. Fortunately, I lived a life where I didn't have to make really bad choices, or these kind of really tugging choices. But I talked a little bit about it earlier. We had a large unionized manufacturing and supply chain organization. And the contract was written many, many, many years ago when I was, not even a senior person in the company. And it had some pretty large restrictions about who we could move around and what we could do with specific employees. And we were at the point in our company that if we didn't lower the cost of our labor, which was 65 to 70% of our cost, then literally we could have been facing the possibility that we would go bankrupt. That clear. But we very rarely showed the union anything about the details of the financials of our company. Basically, we gave them some high level things, a lot of it because we thought that it would be used against us. And one of the big things that I had to do, I was speaking to the board and telling them what the plan was, which basically was to open the kimono down to the detail, how much we spend on management, how much we spend on everything. And the board was not that thrilled about it and told me to decide. You go off and decide, but basically we would prefer that you don't go down that path. And I didn't go back and speak to the board primarily because I didn't want them to tell me no before I did it. And I went to the union and literally myself and one of the guys who ran planning for me went and spoke with the union leadership and showed them the breakdown, how much we pay, the board, everything. And I did it. It did that in kind of like a subversive way. I didn't show the slides to the board. I didn't show the management team anything. I went to the union leadership. The good news is that, as I said, they were smart. They know math. They figured out that they were a massive piece of the cost, so we couldn't do anything without affecting them to some extent or the other. And we got buy-in there. It's not an ethical challenge, but it's a unconventional way of dealing with this partner of you, which is basically treat them as equals. And they were not. So since they were not equals, one of the ways that they could yield power is to actually disrupt the business. But if you can explain to them the nature of the expenses, how quickly we could move part A to part B, it turned out being just building an unbelievably strong partnership and one that was definitely win-win, more win-win than ever before.